everyone, so in this video I'm going to be showcasing a somewhat unorthodox team, but one that I think could prove to be effective in battle. So I also wanted to pinpoint in this match the update to Firestarter, which is as intended, which might confuse a few people just because it did confuse me at first, but there's a very interesting change that was made to this ability, specifically when burn is applied either by a mod or through someone's weapon. At this time, I also apologize for the background noise. I have two dogs that are playing with each other, so sorry, there's really no other time that I could do this, or environment because I have to watch them. Anyway, I'm just gonna go through this team that I made. It's a completely free-to-play team. Princess, people might say that she's not exactly free-to-play, but I would say she is. She has been, offered up cards-wise as well as her 5-star versions back when she was first released. So I'm adding her to this team because I need her normalizability. I'm using Ivanova as a lead because she's a free-to-play tune. Her rush adds trauma as well as defense down and a little bit of damage, so that makes her ideal for this team, on top of being a leader tune, which gives plus 40% attack to all melee tunes, as well as a huge bonus to AP when attacking. So I really like Ivanova. I think her active skill also works well with her as a whole. Her active skill, the attack up, as well as the focus for my team, so ignoring the effects of taunt and confuse, and being able to attack around human shields. Next, we have our handy dandy 6-star Dr. Stevens, rush, taunt, impair, as well as 60% AP gain to 2 teammates. This is really effective on a number of different teams by being able to have your tunes rush early, or whenever you want really, because you can manipulate this so easily. Now, it's a little weird that I'm not running a command tune on this team, because usually you'd want to command rush Dr. Stevens on the first turn for some control on that turn 2 rush, but with this free-to-play team, it had to be very specifically composed so that I could run the other characters on this team to make it effective. Now, it is a strange team, and you can definitely make adjustments to it. This is just an example of a team that I'm making. I am running a fast healing weapon on Dr. Stevens. It's not exactly necessary, but I wanted to keep his main weapon available, so that 3rd slot, and I just don't feel like resetting that weapon and trying again for that fast healing on it. Now, Rhodey here, she's kind of the key in this team, in some ways at least. So I like her rush, 66 AP, all teammates recover from heal reduction, maim, and regain 70% of their max HP for 3 turns. This is a direct counter to infection. Flat out, just counters infection. It's a really great ability. That's 70% over 3 turns, well that's 210%. That recovers even Minerva, for example. But it's really effective against the infection and heal reduction combination. Her active skill, a turn 2, one enemy and all enemies adjacent get dazed for 3 turns. This can be manipulated for sure in a trauma team very easily. And then on top of that, she's a Firestarter. Now, this Firestarter ability is working a little differently than usual. So if a Firestarter has a burn mod or weapon, like Roxy has 100% chance to burn the enemy when the enemy's HP is over 80%, and it's 1000 burn, it will actually Firestart itself. So if you attack a tune, immediately 2 characters have that 1000 burn. And with the 4th slot, I'm actually adding 150 burn on top of that. I was going for Ransack, but I honestly ran out of crafting materials, so this is what I'm going to roll with because it still works with her kit. Next, we do have Princess, who, as I mentioned, I consider her a free-to-play character. I've already gotten my 2nd S class, and I just feel like she's become widely available. Even in the season store, there was 2,500 cards. So that really gave you a quick 5-star version as well as 500 cards towards her other 5-star version or her S-class. So I think this is a character that everyone should be working on if they don't have her already. Her active skill is what really makes her amazing. This normalize and taunt ability turns off or disarm specialist skills for a while, which is just super effective because there's payback tunes, there's bodyguards, there's bide, human shields, commands, etc. She has Berserker as her specialist skill, where she can gain attack when being attacked. Her rush obviously was super powerful, high amounts of damage, and then her weapon, she has a very special attacking weapon, and I've added Team Player 4 so that she can actually hit harder, as well as all toons around her will get that 15% attack buff, as well as plus 35 crit chance buff. Lastly on the team, we're using Willy, who everyone should have been able to get. I think he's going to be a pretty effective toon. Like, I'm using him on defense, so I haven't leveled up his active skill. But for his rush, a line of enemies get 4,000 trauma, stun, and 50% heal reduction for 2 turns. And then Willy regains 100% of his max HP, which works perfectly, really, with his specialist skill, which is Overheal. His active skill is also pretty effective. It's an interesting one because you can actually heal all penalties on the opponent's team in a line, which actually works perfectly with trauma. I do have a trauma video that's out, so if you're a little confused about how that works, I recommend checking that out. It is a bit of a lengthy video. It's about 19 minutes long, but I really go into depth about how to use trauma and how to manipulate it. So with Willy's weapon, I made him a very tanky toon. I didn't give him any AP. I just did a lot of healing abilities because this is the type of weapon that I would run on him if he was on my defensive team. And now we're going to go through some gameplay of his team just to see how effective it is against a very defensive, tanky team that has Double Traitor, Shane with Bodyguard, Pete as a lead, and Frost. As you can see, there really is no safe target to attack. The safest one is, oddly enough, Traitor, who can infect me. And right there you can see that there's burn on both Shane and on Pete. So right now Firestarter, and this is as intended, is working where when it's applied, when burn is applied either by a weapon or a mod, your toon is automatically spreading it right away. And that could actually be very easily manipulated. Going back to the match, I just applied 4,000 trauma to a line. If I use Rhodey's active skill, we can see that the one traitor ended up resisting. Because of that resistance, the trauma applied 4,000 damage. I then used Princess's active skill, and he resisted another ability. I'm not sure if it was the taunt or the normalize, but it ended up killing him. My Ivanova attacks Shane, and Shane resists the second stun. The trauma ended up killing him as well. As you can see, this team is doing fairly well. We can see that I'm healing over time. I have 70% healing, and on one toon I had 85%, and that was Ivanova because healing over time effects stack, and her stun on attack weapon gave her 15% healing. As you can see, this type of team is very specific, but it's been pretty effective so far. I would definitely say don't use this on a regular basis because it won't be effective against every single team, but in this specific case, it's actually working out quite nicely. What's great is that I can finish it off with Willy's active skill to kill both toons because I recover all penalties that they have on them, and it's at a high value of trauma. So it's not the fastest team, it is decently effective, and I think this is something that some free-to-play players could use when they come across some of these very tanky teams, especially ones with Traitor, because Traitor is very susceptible to trauma damage. Anyway, thank you everyone for watching and listening to my video.